From 15-year-olds making Rocket League finals to 16-year-olds winning $3 million in Fortnite, esports is seen as a young man's game. But at 32 years old, Karrigan is hitting the peak of his career to prove age doesn't matter. Karrigan has been playing competitive Counter-Strike since 2008, back when the game looked like this and frag movies sounded like this. He's been winning CSGO trophies since 2015, back when almost every roster was made up of 5 players speaking the same native language. Eventually though, the results with his Danish squad would start to dry up, and Coach Zonic made the decision to bench Karrigan and pick up in-game leader Glaive, which turned out to be a pretty good decision, to the point where the most interesting thing about the Astralis era is counting which one of them lifted the most trophies.
Astralis!
Once again, it's all about Astralis.
Poor Zipex, man. Always the support player, even when it comes to lifting trophies. After being benched, Karrigan made his way to FaZe, who initially started as a Nordic lineup, but for once, it was the Vikings who slowly got invaded as the team became more and more international. By the time they reached New York 2017, they were pioneers of seeing if an elite international team could work. And they proved it pretty quick, as they secured one of the most dominant tournament wins in CSGO's history. This team at the time was seen as a super team, with stars all across the lineup aside from Karrigan, whose job as the in-game leader was to set up his stars for success. With those high expectations comes huge pressure, and while FaZe could catch fire and win the occasional event, their Achilles heel was on the biggest stages in the legacy-defining moments. Nowhere was this more clear than at E-League Major Boston 2018. You might remember this as Cloud9's incredible run, the miracle in Massachusetts. And while all that is true, there's two sides to every coin. You look at this play from Stewie's POV, and it looks impressive, exciting, and almost a little too easy. Meanwhile, you look at it from FaZe's perspective, and they've left themselves with no time left, no nades, and no way to properly coordinate this push. That could be okay if they were running into a rifle, but FaZe knew Stewie had an AWP from the previous rounds, and they'd even heard him shoot that AWP at B in this very round. Karrigan also had plenty of individual blunders too. Like here, where yes, FaZe are down in a 3v5, but you don't want to be losing this duel with an AK against the UMP of Skadoodle at this range. Or here, where Karrigan is trying to be the space creator, as he would often do, but he doesn't properly clear the most common angle, gets caught out by Skadoodle, and has no one in position to trade him. Even some of the decision making looked lacking under the pressure. Here, FaZe have a 4v2 and a 15-11 lead guaranteed. But look at Cloud9's money. There is no way FaZe can break Cloud9's economy, as they have enough to buy in the next round, and with one more round loss, Cloud9 would be gone. But Karrigan tries to hunt, FaZe end up losing all their guns, and then get left with this subpar buy in the next round. Karrigan does a great job at getting up long early and running distraction to allow Nico to pick up this opener, but again, he looks flustered, as under the pressure, he goes back for the AWP instead of just splitting onto the site with the Galil. This means Guardian has to try and go up short solo with the bomb, which gets dropped by this stupendous shot from Tarek. And now the AWP has no way in, whereas at least with the Galil, he'd have had a chance at pushing up with Nico and making something happen on this site split. All that led to the Stewie play we saw earlier, which sent it to overtime.
Stewie's on his own, but look at the time! Look at the time, there's 7 seconds to got the bomb! They're trying to build pyramids, but there's no more play! Stewie's won the round, we're going to overtime!
And there, it didn't get much better for Karrigan or FaZe. In this one, Karrigan is waiting for his teammates to pressure long and is clearly ready for Skadoodle to fall back. And this is actually a great call. Skadoodle has been playing this spot almost every round and is going to have to come back into Karrigan's crosshair, but just as Skadoodle gets pressured into falling back, instead, Karrigan goes for a wild wide swing with no utility, just as Scar has been pushed out of position. And then to top it all off, in the final T round of overtime, he literally forgets to spend his $1,000 on the Kevlar helmet. And that's the sort of rookie mistake you would not normally see Karrigan make, except for under these pressured circumstances. It's safe to say Cloud9 made FaZe pay and left Karrigan in a pit of despair. By the time the next major rolled around, FaZe started out with 2 tough losses, and the team lost faith in Karrigan, instead turning to their superstar fragger Nico to take over as the in-game leader.
Sometimes as a leader, when you lose so many games, you try to improve the mistakes you do some wrong calls, do some good calls, you lose the round, you lose confidence in yourself.
And once a team loses trust in their in-game leader like that mid-event, there is no longer a place for that player on the team. This was a low point for Karrigan, but it's always darkest before the dawn. Karrigan would rebound with Mouse and spend a few years honing his craft in a solid stint with the team. And eventually, it paid off for him as he worked his way back to the FaZe Clan roster and was eventually able to get his final piece of the puzzle with him as he brought Rops over from Mouse to FaZe. Once they picked up Rops, they hit the ground running, winning their first big event of the year in Katowice and following that up with a win at Crowley. But they weren't just winning. They were winning tight games, and in complete contrast to the old lineup, they were looking like a clutch team.
About an Estonia! Talk about a superstar! Talk about the elite! Rops is on a rope!
Those tournament wins meant heading into the major, FaZe were pegged as very, very slight favorites ahead of Na'Vi and the best player in the world, Simple. They were tested with tight wins over NIP and Spirit in the playoffs, but they made it through to the final, where this time their map pick was set to be Inferno. Karrigan had been waiting years for this chance at redemption, and it showed as FaZe rocketed out to a stunning 8-0 lead.
Now running out of options, that'll do nicely! And we see the score if you've just joined us, yes, this is reality.
Na'Vi salvaged a 10-5 score at the half, but with FaZe switching to the favored CT side and going 12-5 up off the back of the pistol round win, this looked like FaZe's game to lose.
Trying every trick to recover, it has to be Rain, looking for it! Oh! The ace, she doubted him, and he continues to prove us wrong!
In the initial bonus round with weaker weapons, Karrigan picked up a solid 2k with the MP9, but FaZe couldn't clinch the round win. No big deal though. Now they can pull out the big guns. And they did, and tasked with a 3v3 retake, Karrigan tried to make an early move and felt the wrath of Simple. That left FaZe having to take a save, and slowly but surely, Na'Vi were closing the gap. Another gun round and another chance to get back on track passed by as Boomich landed this banger shot. On to the next, and the wily Dane knows he needs to get the upper hand here with just a pistol, and so tries to get cheeky with a smoke to extinguish this Molotov and catch Na'Vi with unexpected timing. But Na'Vi are having none of it. A couple of rounds go back and forth before Brokey decides to switch it up and AWP over on B, which means Karrigan is playing A long. He takes a risk and tries to take a fight dry based off his instinct, but Na'Vi were just luring him into their trap. And after some rough rounds and the 12-5 lead slowly slipping to just a 13-12 lead, the mistakes start creeping in. With Twists up on the boost, Karrigan blindly spams the smoke, despite Twist clearly seeing there's no one there. And that means, once the smoke finally fades, instead of Karrigan being able to fight with his teammate Twists, he's reloading, Twist is forced into a 1v1 fight, which he loses, and Karrigan's rotate also doesn't work as he loses a fight of his own. Karrigan's been here on Inferno years ago, and it feels like it's happening again. Left in a 1v2 in the next round, he looks the right way, but Na'Vi are making no mistakes and running rampant as they take the lead for the first time in this map.
They're playing as a unit, they're believing in this comeback, and they are getting fired up. An 8-0 start for FaZe, it means nothing, as Na'Vi want to rip this one away.
With just the sidearm in the next, Karrigan does a great job to pick up 2 kills, but as the last line of defense, it's not enough. In a flash, Na'Vi reach map point, and it feels like FaZe have no answers. Last time, with the weight of the world on his shoulders, Karrigan crumbled. But this time, it's different. He's had years to grow and to build a well-rounded roster that all believe in each other until the bitter end. And he's the one who sets the tone with this emphatic triple kill as Na'Vi give him one-on-one fights and he makes them pay.
Karrigan does not surrender, and Simple's got 2!
And on round 30, with the map on the line, there's no indecision from Karrigan this time. He calls with confidence for his teammates to battle Banana while he makes an unthinkable push down mid in the circumstances to help FaZe get the early advantage and to eventually take it to overtime. Overtime starts with a solid Karrigan 1-for-1 trade and a FaZe round win. It follows up with Karrigan seemingly making his first wrong read as he rotates away from B just before Na'Vi take the site. But it doesn't even matter as he gets back in time with some incredible shots and another big clutch moment.
He won! Never mind! The Karrigan pulls 17!
Na'Vi just about hang in there and snatch one back to keep it close as we switch sides. The T side is where Karrigan couldn't convert at Boston. But this time, the conviction in his calls and play show he's not going to lose to himself. As the point man up towards A, he finds frag after frag after frag as he wills his team on to round win after round win. With 2 chances to close, FaZe slow it down to a trickle. They leave themselves with 35 seconds left, and the attempted B play is stalled out by Na'Vi, and FaZe make the ballsy call to run it back to A, in a mirror image of Boston 4 years prior. With a chance to win the map, it's gonna come down to the clock. And this time, Karrigan is on the right side of history.
6, 5, 4, and the bomb goes down on the other side of the map.
And with how clutch FaZe have been, there's only one way this is
It's
going.
all they need, and there's one. Simple, stubborn, Rob meets his fate, and is only broken to pull FaZe across the line. It's done!
Throughout his career, Karrigan has been battle-scarred, bruised, but never broken, and instead used those previous failures and marks on his career to learn, to grow, and to finally accomplish his dream and hit his peak at 32 years old.
To be honest, never back down. Doesn't matter how hard life hits you. I've been benched a few times, came back. All I wanted in my life wanted to make history, that an international team won a major, and we fucking did it in here! I mean, what I just wanted to say, I want to say I'm stronger than I was in Boston, and I think that showed today. Even though whatever bled through in this team, positive mindset. We can lose a 1v5 and we can win the next round. Keep focused on the moment, and I'm just proud to call all these my teammates, and I'm just so happy where I am right now, and FaZe is my family.
It definitely seems like one big family for sure.
Thank you guys for watching. If you're interested in learning more about Counter-Strike, I recommend this video here talking about Art and his uniquely aggressive playstyle, or why not check out this video here that YouTube thinks you'll like. Oh, and also subscribe. You made it to the end of the video, you must have liked.